Since she was a little girl, Shirley liked working with hair, making different haircuts for dolls. When she was only 7 years old, she practiced on a fluffy cat, depriving it of its thick and beautiful hair for a long time. Of course, the cat looked funny, but her grandmother gave Shirley a hard time. At the age of 10, Shirley honed her skills on her grandfather. After her haircuts, Grandfather looked strange, as if after a serious illness. But the man loved his granddaughter and always encouraged her, saying that she cuts hair better and better. So after leaving school, Shirley immediately enrolled in hairdressing courses. After mastering the profession, Shirley found a job in a fashionable beauty salon. The only thing was that she was hired not as a master, but as a cleaner. It was to be expected because no one wanted to entrust his head to a novice specialist. The beauty salon was in the center of the city, and all its clients were wealthy and demanding. Shirley realized that she could learn a lot from the other masters here, so she cherished her work and dreamed that one day she would get a chance to prove her skills. In the meantime, she honed her skills on her relatives and neighbors, who were very pleased with the results. But it was hard to prove anything to Monica, the manager of the salon. She would not let Shirley near clients, even new ones, and trusted her only with the dirty work of cleaning the masters' workplaces. In addition, when Monica saw that Shirley furtively watched their work, then she was making a real scandal. "Don't you have work to do?" she often shouted indignantly. "Monica, please, let me work with at least one client." She tried to negotiate with the boss, Shirley. "All you have to do is sweeping the hair. That's all you are capable of," smirked Monica, and sent the girl away from the hall. But one day an incident happened that completely changed Shirley's future life. Summer came, and at some point the salon became unusually quiet and deserted. The clients left for their vacations, most of the employees were also on vacation, and a few people who stayed to work went away for their lunch break. Shirley was alone in the beauty salon, and she was quietly tidying up the hall. Suddenly the bell above the front door rang, announcing the arrival of a client. Shirley turned around and saw a thin man in his 50s, heavily overgrown, with a thick beard and wearing plain and shabby clothes. Shirley thought to herself that it was probably some villager who had come to the city and happened to wander into their salon. "Hello, I need a haircut," said the man. Shirley froze, frightened, and even looked around to make sure that she was the one being addressed. "So could you do my hair now?" the man asked again, seeing her indecision. Suddenly, Shirley realized that this was the chance she had been waiting for. The man will be her first client and the perfect opportunity to show the boss all her skills. "Ah, excuse me, please. Of course. Have a seat here," hustled Shirley. The girl busily escorted the man to his chair and began to offer various options for haircuts and beards, listing all the professional, intricate names she knew. "What's your name?" asked the man suddenly, and smiled. "Shirley," replied the girl timidly. "I'm Mr. Thomas. Let's get acquainted." "Shirley, I didn't understand anything you said," he replied with a smile. "Just pick something to your liking. But don't dye me green, otherwise my horses will laugh at me. Anyway, make me look handsome." Shirley smiled and got to work. To somehow entertain her client, she asked him if he lived in the village, and the man confirmed her hunch. He said he worked at the horse farm, and then began a story about life, family and children. Shirley at first did not listen much to what he said, but then she became interested, and she did not notice how she actively participated in the conversation. She laughed at Mr. Thomas's witty jokes, and soon she had the impression that they had known each other for a long time. Shirley tried her best to do her job, and gradually Mr. Thomas's appearance began to change and gained a noble charm and elegance. She even thought for a moment that if he had been dressed more respectably, he might have been easily mistaken for one of the visitors of the theatre or the opera. "What kind of charity event is this?" was a sudden nasty yell from Monica. Shirley even jumped in fear and prepared herself for a scandal. "Where did you get that, beggar? Normal clients don't come to you, so you drag homeless people here from the street? If our clients saw whom you are doing the haircut for here, they would stop coming to us." The manager said many more unpleasant words to Shirley and the visitor. The girl was offended and, most importantly, embarrassed in front of Mr. Thomas for the tactless behaviour of her boss. "And by the way, who will pay for this?" didn't calm down Monica. "I'll pay for everything myself," Shirley tried to reassure him. "Of course, including the equipment and tools, because we can no longer use it. What if he brought an infection here?" continued to scold Monica, drilling Shirley with a sizzling look. All the time, Mr. Thomas was sitting quietly in an armchair and listened to the whole conversation with a thoughtful look. But after the manager's last words, he got up from his chair and, with a completely unperturbed look, as if Monica wasn't there, heartily thanked Shirley for her great work, and then took several large banknotes from his pocket and handed them to the girl. "Thank you, sweetheart. Keep the change. It's a tip for your skills." Shirley hastened to apologize for this unpleasant situation, and Monica, seeing the money, immediately became silent and did not know how to behave now. Meanwhile, Mr. Thomas approached her and said with a smile, "Weren't you taught as a child that clothes do not make the man?" He turned to Shirley, winked at her, and waving goodbye left the salon. There hung an awkward pause, and then Monica, having come to her senses, poured all her anger on Shirley again. But the girl did not listen to her any more. She was remembering Mr. Thomas's last words with a smile. Finally, the manager got fed up with screaming and retired to her office, promising the girl that she would never approach any client again. Life went on as usual. Shirley kept cleaning the salon, and having lost hope of change, she was already thinking about quitting. But suddenly one day an expensive car stopped next to the beauty salon. A respectable man got out of it and walked into the salon. Monica, immediately assessing the client, jumped out to meet him, stretching her lips in a friendly, ingratiating smile, and Shirley, as usual, immediately disappeared into the staff room. Monica ardently welcomed the clinic and began to tell him in detail about what a wonderful salon he had visited. But suddenly the man interrupted the flow of Monica's eloquence and asked to call Shirley, who he was recommended as the best hairdresser in the city. "Shirley?" stammered Monica, "but we have no master by that name." "That's strange. Well, I must have made a mistake. I'm sorry." Monica realized she was losing a potential client and decided to change tactics. "Ah, Shirley. Well, yes, of course. I completely forgot that she was working today. Just a minute. She will do everything to the highest standard," fussed Monica, and ran into the back room. There she angrily ordered a dumbfounded Shirley to put on a uniform urgently and go to the client. The girl did not understand what was happening, but quickly cleaned up, calmed down a little, and with a smile entered the room as if that were all she had ever done. She said hello, introduced herself. Then she listened to the man's wishes and did her job flawlessly. "Yes, Shirley, you really are a magician, not for nothing." "Mr. Thomas praised you so much," said the man admiringly, looking at himself in the mirror. "Oh, by the way, he sends his greetings to you." The man paid and left, and Shirley remained standing, unable to say a word out of surprise. She looked at Monica, and her amazement was no less. Then they each went back to their work in silence. But for the first time ever, the manager found nothing to complain about. The next day the story repeated itself, and again Shirley was given Mr. Thomas's greetings. Then again and again, and in 2 weeks Shirley had left her mop and rags behind forever, taking care of almost all the clients who amicably came only to Shirley. The flow of clients did not stop, and soon Shirley became one of the leading masters of the salon, and Monica was even afraid to argue with her in order not to lose such a valuable employee. And then one day, when the bell rang over the door again, Shirley heard a familiar voice behind her. "Hello, I need a haircut." The girl turned around and froze in amazement. In front of her stood an imposing man in an expensive, elegant suit. "So, will you do my haircut?" asked Mr. Thomas, smiling. Shirley smiled broadly and got to work. They had a nice talk, like good old friends, and Mr. Thomas again mentioned his work at the horse farm, only it turned out that the horse farm was his property. Mr. Thomas said that he spent a lot of time in the countryside, and he was involved personally in all of the production processes because he breeds world-famous thoroughbred horses. That's why it happened that he, being engaged in preparations for the International Horse Exhibition, was so caught up in his work that he did not even have time to go to the hairdresser. When the time came to fix up his hair in order not to disgrace himself in front of foreign colleagues, he just went to the first beauty salon. And when he saw the manager's behavior, he decided to teach her a lesson for her impudence and rudeness. That was why he recommended Shirley to all his acquaintances in the city as the best hairdresser. And besides, it was true. "Thank you for everything," said Shirley quietly, struggling to hold back tears. "Come on, dear. You'd better make a handsome man out of me."